Welcome. My name's Arna. Today I'm going to be going over system basics, understanding the actual database interface that we have. The purpose of this video is to show how the Active Club Manager database works. We're not going to be discussing anything specific to wine clubs or spirit clubs or any other parts of the operation. Just a presentation on how Manager interfaces with the database. Active Club Manager is a database application. Information about your operation is stored in your own private database. This data is held in a number of tables, one table for each kind of data in the system. Let me show you what Active Club Manager looks like. So here we are, just logged in. This is the type of user that I am, and because of that fact, this is what I've been presented with as my list of hot icons, or shortcut icons, I should say. And then here is a file menu, which gives me access to each one of the tables in the system. There's more of them here than on my vertical toolbar. Now you can alter the behavior of the user interface using preferences, but I'm not going to discuss that now. The other thing that is really important is this menu here. That's the Help menu. And in Help, let's open up the Help system. What we're going to be covering today is System Basics, which is this chapter here, and Understanding Data Lists, which is this chapter here. There's also a section here on how actually to use the Help system. All these chapters are worth a read, just to understanding the concepts behind Active Club Manager. Now, the purpose of a database is so that you can view, sort, and search on data. The purpose of a database interface is so that you can create, modify, and delete data. And these are the things that we're going to be showing you here today. Now, to use the system effectively, you'll need to understand the data you're working with and where to look for it. If you're looking for people, go to the person table, and so on. Now, what I want to go over here today is how to view data, sort data, and search data. So let's hop back to Active Club Manager. And I've picked for this show a table that is completely generic. It's just email tracking. So this just shows how email has been tracked. And this is a data list. So let me go through the anatomy of a data list. It has a name, so it's email tracking, and that is the active window, which displays up here. It has a symbology. And then here is the actual list with its columns, the ID, the date and the time, status, subject, to email address, and so on. Additionally, here it displays the name of the view that we're using. Now, the subject we're talking about right now is views. And the view is controlled by the view menu. So here is the view menu. And this data list has only 4. And we're in the delivery view. This is the tracking view. In the tracking view, you'll see as this column was added, this column was added. So each view has column layout unique to that view. Of course, you can share columns across views as well. Now, let's set it back to the delivery view. And let me show you some aspects of the data list. You can resize the lists. You can make it full size. And then any one of the columns can be resized. Let's resize status and subject. I'm going to make these really big. So any one of the columns can be changed, its size. And one of the characteristics of Active Club is that the view columns widths are sticky. So if I was to hop over to another view, like tracking, and then come back to delivery, you'll see they still have this large size that we just gave them. So the column widths are sticky. If you double click on this bar between the columns, it will automatically size the column to the data inside of it. Okay, so that is views. Very important feature, spinning these views. Again, back to the top here, there's the view menu. I'm going to pick tracking. Next thing we want to discuss is sort. Now we're going to sort data. You'll see on the first column there is this little symbol, which is an green up arrow. That indicates that that column is sorted in an ascending direction. If I click on subject, we're now sorting ascending on that column. If I click it again, we're descending on that column. So now it goes Z to A. I can add another sort on this column. So now I have a sort. The first sort is status. The second sort, subject, and the third sort is ID. And again, these sorts are also sticky. So if I close this window and open it again, the sort is maintained. It is also maintained across views. If I go to this view and then come back to this view that we were at, you can see that the sort is maintained. So as you use the product more and more, the layout of the lists and the views becomes personalized to what your requirements are. So sticky sort is another important aspect of the database interface. There's another way to do sorts, which is here on the view menu. There is a command called customize sort, and it has a window here that pops up, and here you can pick the columns directly. So I'm going to change the sort. We'll go with status and then subject last. All ascending, hit OK, and you will see that the sort has changed. There's no status in this view, so that didn't actually take. So let's go back to this view and do that again. I'm going to use the alternate method I wanted to show you anyway, is on this row here above the column headers. If you right-click on that area, a menu shows up. And we have customized sort here, and it will display the columns in the view. So the columns that you're seeing here are the columns in the view. So I'm going to pick status and then subject as the last one. And you'll see that that is now in effect. So that's sorting. The next is a big subject called search. Search is where Active Club's power really comes to the surface. So let me show you how search works. First of all, we have this area here, which is what we call the quick search. Let me show you how that works. You can open it up, and these are all the searches that are have been created for this particular table. So I say deliveries yesterday. There they are. Deliveries today. And so on. Complaints this week. There wasn't anything. Tracking this month. And so on. So the most common way to do the searches is to pick them from this quick list, but there is another way as well. Before I do that, I wanted to show you a tool that we have here. This one here. This is the hand. That's the stop search tool. This flashing you're seeing on is this highlighter tool of mine. Causes the screen to flash. So I'm going to pick a search which is going to just bring up lots and lots of data, display everything. And you see the counter. My mouse here is over the counter. It's just going to go on and on and on. Maybe it's 4,000 records or something. There you go, nearly 4,000 records. Now, let me turn that highlighter on again. I want you to look at this area here. So when I click on the refresh search button, this ungrays, and I can push it and I could stop the search. Do it again, push that, stop the search. This is handy if you ended up doing a search on 10,000 things you didn't mean to, or you just don't want to continue on with the search. You just need to get some data displayed, and then you can stop it. It's a valuable tool, and it also exists on the main menu. Here under the file menu, there is stop search. It's grayed out because it's not running. So that's the stop search tool. Now, let's have a look at what else we have in terms of searching. There is an icon here for searching. There is a menu here for searching. And then if you right-click, I have search here as well. So let's go with that one. In this case, and this is the search that we had just selected, and these are all the searches available to us that have been predefined. And these are who they belong to, and whether they're private or shared. Private means only you see it. Shared means everybody sees it. So let's create our own search from scratch. So we're going to clear this out, and we're going to say, for example, delivered. And and I'm going to pick last quarter. So it's now going to fill up with data about that meets those criteria. I'm going to stop it because it's obviously huge. Let me go back to the search, and let's refine the search a little bit. And let's put something in that we want something in the subject. So we want the word sale in the subject. I'm going to do a search, and it's come up with nothing. The reason for that, there is no subject just with the word sale. It's got some other words around the word sale. So we have introduced wildcards. So a percent in front and a percent in the back will tell the search engine that it wants to retrieve anything with the word sale in the subject. And there you can see there's sale at the end, sale at the beginning, and probably if we scroll down to something with sale in the middle as well. Here we go. So let's go back to that search and say that we only want to have the first word. I mean, it must start with the word sale. So we will take out that wildcard, and there we go. Now we just have everything with the word sale at the beginning. Let's do the opposite. So now we want to have everything with the word sale at the end. And then here's a neat trick, which is that I don't want the word sale in anything. So rather than saying I want you to find items with the word sale in them, I want you to find items that don't have the word sale in them. And there is a character to that, the ampersand, the exclamation point, which means not. So not percent, sale, percent. That's saying I do not want the word sale in the subject line. And there we go. I'm going to stop it because there seems to be quite a few of those. So that's how search works. So you've got wildcards, you've got the not character, you have all these date ranges you can use. You can get specific with specific dates. You can, for example, say, I want it to be just that one day. And sure enough, it found something that did not have the word sale in it. Take away the exclamation point, and it found one. That's searching. Need to show you the manual. Go in here to the manual. There's a button at the top. This button right here. This is something that really should be mandatory reading. If I click on that, you'll get just a page on all these tricks for doing searching. Here is, for example, what we were just doing right there. And they, as a note, it is not case sensitive, so everything is case insensitive. Here's the exclamation mark symbol explained. We also have the underscore symbol, and there are greater than, less than symbols. So if you wanted to have sales that were greater than $100, it would be greater than 100. So when you combine all the fields together, you can get very specific in your searching. And even here in this little email table, it is handy. But imagine how handy this is when it comes to your sales transactions and customers. So the next thing I wanted to show you is making your own search that you can store away. You've got this menu of icons here. Let me show you how that works. There goes the flash. So I'm going to say create my own new search here. So I want, let's say I want tracking, and I want only the clicks, and that's all. See what we get. So these are all the tracking clicks. So let's say I wanted to save this search away. I would come up here to the name it. So tracking clicks. Well, actually, I'm going to leave that typo, and I'm going to now save it and try it out. Okay, so it's a functioning search. Let's go back to the search window, and I'm going to change it to clicks, and I'm going to say my tracking clicks and save it. Open up this list. Here is my search that I've created. If I bring up a different one, deliveries this month, you can see it filled in this field and that field. If I pick my tracking clicks, it brings in the fields that I filled in. Now, searches are by default private, so I've made this my tracking clicks is a private search. Nobody else will see this. When they look at their search list, this will not appear. If I want everybody to see it, I will click on the little island and it'll become a globe. And you'll find that now my search has been moved down here to be shared. Pick it, use it. And now it's available here too. You can see Arna made a search called my tracking clicks. There is also the ability to take an existing search. Let's say I wanted to use my tracking clicks and make that the basis for some other kind of search. There's an icon here, and it will make a new search based on a copy of an older one. And then you can modify it. I could put in here, for example, %sale, and save it, search, and it comes up. Didn't get a lot of clicks on my sales email. Or I could take away that word and save it and run it, and there you have that search. So now I have another search that I've made, my tracking clicks copy, and I could rename it sale. Let me see. Have a look at the list. There it is. And if I look at my list here, there they are too. And this one. So that's searching. Now with the view data and the view names, we do have a view designer. I will be showing you that at the end of this video so you can see how that works. What would be really nice, of course, would be if the views, it would save what view I was using, the width of all the columns that I had set, save all my sorts for each view. There's going to be different sorting for different views. It would save that. It would save my searches. And it would save the search I was last using, and it would save when the window is open and closed, and everything wants to be saved. And I have the good news is that all actually works. So everything about the user interface is saved away as you go through and use it. So right now it's my tracking clicks is the search. I'm on the view delivery. And let's change that view to tracking. Close the window, open back up. My tracking clicks, view track. View is tracking. Let's make the window a different size, do the same thing, open it up, and you'll see it remembers. It remembers quite a lot of stuff. Next is to go into the database interface, and we need to go over creating data, modifying data, and deleting data. So I'm just going to use the email tracking for simplicity. Let's pick a different search. And here's some just data. Now, to look at the details of the records, there is one way to do it is up here in the edit menu. You can see it says open record. The toolbar has a tool for that. And the right mouse has a tool for that. And you can also double click, and you can also just hit enter. So this now opens up the detail of this one record. Now the nice thing about the Active Club Manager interface is that the data dialog works in conjunction with the tracking of the list. So I can click on something different in the list and it will refresh. If I find one that's more, just a little bigger, so I can get the scroll bar down, find something that has a different name on it. You can see how it's changing. Every record that I go through changes the data. So you don't have to close, double click, open, double click, close. You can just click, leave this window open, and click on the list through the data sets. Very handy with database tables that have more data than this does. Now, how do you create, let me show you how to modify data. So if I was to just type something in here, I hit save, you see it says record saved. And if I click back on to this record, you'll see there the data is saved. And you can save with the button up top or the button at the bottom. I'm going to delete the data, push the bottom button, and it is saved. So that's all there is to modifying data. Now, what if I wanted to create a new record? There's a button here, create new record. And then I can just enter in the fields that I want and fill it in to whatever I want and save it. The other way I can do it is I can take an existing record, let's take this one, and copy it across. I use the control key, I hold the control key down, I just drag and drop it across. The other thing I can do is I can select what I'm interested in copying, and there's an icon here, copy record. So let's push copy record. Well, let me, for effect, I'll do all over again, then copy record. You can see it's copied everything in. I hit save, and here's that record added to the list. And now I could modify anything I want and save as well. So that's creating data. There are a few other ways to do the new record. Let me show you that. We have an icon here. There is the edit menu, and then we have the right mouse, new record, and then here is new record 2. Control N is a shortcut key. Create a new record. Copy this. Got a new record. Save. It's done. Pretty quick. Now let's talk about deleting data. There is I put the highlighter on. There is a command here. There is also a command in Edit. And get this highlighter off. If I right click, there is delete there, delete selected. And if I double click, there is delete selected here too, or delete record. Just delete, when you delete from the data entry, you're just going to delete one. We should demonstrate it. Click that one. Yeah, and it's gone. If I want to delete a couple, or as many as I want, I can Control A, it would delete the whole thing. But say I wanted to delete these 3 records, select, delete, yes to all, and they're gone. So that's deleting data. Now, the last things I wanted to show you is working with multiple lists, the Changelog and View Designer. So here we have one list. Now, what happens if you have 2? Bring up document. So there's a list. Let's move this one down. So it now covers that one up. Well, how do I find it? Well, you can find the list listed out here. So I've got email and document opened up. If I pick document, it'll bring it to the front. Let's say I hide it again, and I can click on the icon over here. That will also bring it to the front. Now, furthermore, I can tile. I can also, they have cascading feature too. Now, when you, let me put it in tile mode so you can see this easily. I'm going to put my highlighter. Push the wrong key. Put my highlighter on. And you'll see that because this one here is blue, it is the selected document. So the word document appears here. If I click, sorry, I didn't mean to turn that off. Let me leave that on. And I click on this window, it'll change to email tracking. So that's now the active window. Click on document, that's the active window. So this represents the active window, the text there. And also, you can notice that the menu will, in fact, slightly change, possibly change, I should say, if there are some actions for that particular data list. This one here has just got the standard 4 options. This one has got 5. It's got an additional one called actions. You have right mouse on each one. and the actions you could find down here as well. So that's working with multiple lists. Now, what I wanted to show you is the selection model. So if I can block select and I can individually select and deselect. Now that is done with the shift key as a block. If I highlight this one, hold the shift key down, go down to there, that block gets selected. If I now hold the control key down, it will select individual items or deselect individual items. So that's how the selection model works. And you're always working on selected items when you are dealing with most of the actions that you can perform are based on selected items. For example, if I wanted to email all those records here to somebody, I could click on this icon at the top. You'll see the little tooltip that appears, and this will now let me email this spreadsheet of those records that I selected to wherever I want to. I can also open a spreadsheet with just those selected items, or I could do a print preview of just those selected items. So what is selected has a lot of meaning. It becomes what you are performing an action on, whether that be a delete action or a sending an email action, opening a spreadsheet action, or there are many other kinds of actions in the system. So what would happen if I had 3 lists? I'm going to bring up the location list. Now I have 3 lists, and you can see on the menu I have 3 lists noted here, and I can tile all 3 in various ways. And then as I select which one is the active window, you'll notice the title change. Now, the next thing I would like to show you is Changelog. There's an icon right here, Changelog. There is also an icon here, a button, I should say, here, Changelog. And this is on all the tables have this feature. Let me show you what that means. So in this particular location, the Changelog, these are all the changes that were made to it over time. Who, when, what version of the product they're using, and what the changes were at the field level. Let me give you an example of this. Let's take I had one of these was a virtual shopping cart. Here we go. I look at the Changelog. I made some changes here. I'm going to change this number to 400 and change this number to 300. Hit save. Look at the Changelog, and you'll see the value before and the value after. A very important feature. It allows you to handle all sorts of exceptions as to why something happened, that some data changes happened. You now have an audit trail. And this works throughout the entire system. Doesn't matter where it is. It's everywhere. There is one other interface to it, is here, Changelog. And these are all the tables in the system. We're interested in the inventory location table, which is the one I was showing you. I'm going to hit search. And these are all the changes that have been made to the inventory location table over time. So we'll click on each one. You can see who, what they did, down to the field level. And you have inserts, updates, and deletes. So there's no hiding from this. And this actually works on the POS and the website as well. So if you have a customer that goes in and changes their customer data, let's say they change their phone number, the changelog will show that customer logged in to his account, changing his telephone number. That's changelog. The last thing I wanted to show you is the view designer. So I'm going to get rid of some windows and we'll just stick with this one here. And I have currently 4 views. Let's make a 5th. So I'm going to open up a menu here called Network. And under the Network menu, there is another submenu called Setup. And buried down there is the View Designer. And again, these are all the tables in the system. I'm interested in the email event tracking table. And there are my 4 views, as you can see. Let me just, for fun, I'm going to switch over to the customer table and show you the views. So you see there's a lot more views. Sort by the name. In customer, let's go back to our email event tracking. And I want to make a new view. So I'm going to push the new button. It gives me a new record. And I think I would like to start off with using my existing tracking view, which you don't need to copy, but you can start off with a copy, or you can start off with a fresh. I'm going to copy one. Then it needs its own name, so I'm going to give it my sample new view. And if I go to the column layout, here are all the columns that were copied with it. I'm going to remove that column. I'm going to remove that column. I'm going to take away, let's say, the ID column. Get rid of that and save it. I now have a new view. I might want to move this one to there. Save it again. Now I have a new view. So it's no more difficult than that. The only part that might be requires some practice is figuring out what all the columns are and what they are for. So now let's have a look at our table. Let's see if this view appeared. Well, it's not there yet. The views are stored in the database. So as you use the product, the views that you use are put into your memory cache so that they're not always coming from the database. So in order to refresh this memory cache and get my new views loaded, I'm going to go to Network, Setup, Clear Cache. And if I now look at the views available, there is my sample new view. And it's got all the same characteristics of any other view. So that's the View Designer. So that's all I wanted to show you today. Thank you for coming. It's been a long session. I hope it was helpful. And I'll see you the next time.